Now, arch-Brexiteer Jacob Rees-Mogg has called on the Queen to suspend Parliament if the Commons passes backbench amendments which extend the Article 50 Brexit process or scupper the chance of leaving with no deal. I'm sure Her Maj can't wait to be dragged into the Brexit mayhem while she's still trying to fend off Phil the Greek, pestering her to tell him where she's hidden the Land Rover keys. Try the Tupperware box with the cornflakes, Phil. Either the Mogg and his band of Brexiteers are getting a little nervous about no deal being the default position if Maybot Deal 2 doesn't fly, or he really is the member for the 18th century, when monarchs had rather more power than they do now. Leaving on no deal is a Remainers' worst nightmare, but for a growing number of leavers, it's now their preferred position. Here's James Delingpole with his take of the week.
Welcome to a night of total terror.
Yes, welcome to Theresa May's Brexit, a nightmare that drags on and on. This zombie government, led by a Prime Minister dead behind the eyes, is stumbling towards a betrayal of the British people. Her deal is dead. Remainers will tell you that no deal is even scarier, but I tell you it's not. No deal is our only salvation. March the 29th is when this horror story has a happy ending, just so long as we make a clean break from the EU on World Trade Organization terms. Remainers may keep hammering us with tales of contaminated water and drug-resistant syphilis, but this is pure fantasy. The WTO is just a rules system that accounts for 98% of world trade. It's what tiny, struggling economies like India, China, and the US use to do business with the EU. And they seem to manage.
The dead who live on living flesh.
With a no-deal Brexit, we can feast on world markets. Of course, we'll still keep trading with failing, shrinking, moribund economies like the European Union. But more importantly, we'll be free to strike trade deals with growth markets from Asia to Brazil. Hard Brexit is not going to be an apocalypse, but a massive opportunity. That's why the Maybot needs to show some guts and embrace no deal. It's the only outcome that honours the result of the referendum. It's also the only one the British people will tolerate. Mess with democracy at your peril, Theresa. The Horde wants Brexit, and you must deliver.
Night of the living dead.
And our thanks to Bunker 51 near Greenwich. James Delingpole has scrubbed his make-off off and he's with us now. Well, maybe he should have kept it on. So, Sam, no deal, no fears.
I'm incredibly worried. I think what I saw, I mean, great acting, James.
I wouldn't go that far.
If all else fails. But I think what James is doing is normalising what is an extreme event. To leave without any arrangements whatsoever after 45 years of having a specific set of arrangements is an extreme event. And if you just think for a second what the Prime Minister will be saying the day after we leave without any arrangements, it is not going to be a victory lap. It's going to be calling Cobra to make sure.
You mean the emergency committee, the cabinet emergency committee?
If I can finish, to make sure that all civil contingencies are managed, to make sure that drugs that are in lorries get to hospitals, This is not Project Fear. This is reality. But the key thing here is it is a far cry from what people were told voting leave meant during the referendum campaign. The other point I'd like to make, James, and
quickly, because we need to hear from Caroline too.
It'll be good to get
This is a discussion, not a speech. In fact, you will hold your other point. Caroline, we'll hear from you. What's your reaction?
Well, I don't support crashing out with no deal. I don't think that's at all helpful. I think we do have to strike a deal, and I think you can't unravel, decades of trade and interconnections in the way we work. And, businesses, small and large, are saying that they need a deal. They don't want a cliff edge. They want a managed process. That's why stage 2 is so important. But I think it is important too, Andrew, that if you respect the outcome of the referendum, we've got to ensure that we work harder in Parliament to get that deal through. And my concern is the other side of the argument, the polar opposite, if you like, to James, are those who want to delay Brexit really as a mechanism to stop it altogether. And I don't think that helps.
But let's stick with whether or not we should be frightened of no deal. Picking up in what they're saying. I mean, the Brexiteers like you, James, they used to say that we would leave with, we wouldn't leave with no deal. You used to tell us we'd leave with the best trade deal ever. And if we leave with no deal, we end up having to negotiate a free trade deal somewhere down the line outside, which is going to be much more difficult than negotiating one during the transition period Caroline's talking about, when all the existing rules and single market are in place.
Let's not forget that one of the reasons that we're in this mess is that Theresa did not plan for no deal, and her civil servants did not plan for no deal. Recently, they've started catching up as they've begun to realise that no deal is a possibility, and it's also we can see it. We saw it on Question Time tonight. We see it across the country. No deal is what people really
but that's not
want.
an answer. What's the answer to my question?
What? That.
No, the question was that you used to say we'd leave with a great free trade, with the easiest trade deal, it'd be the most far-reaching trade deal. And what I'm saying is, if we follow your way now, where the idea is we do a free trade deal during the transition period, you're saying we just leave without one. At some stage, I assume we'd still want to do a free trade deal. We'd be much weaker doing it from the outside as a third party rather than from the inside.
We're talking about separate things. We're talking about the great deals we're going to get with the growing economies of the world, not the moribund shrinking economy that is the European Union. I don't think it really matters that much. We're going to carry on trading with the European Union because they need to trade with us more than we need them.
You can't dismiss
these things can be sorted out.
On our doorstep.
The chap who's in charge of the shipping at Calais says it's going to be fine. He knows what he's talking about because he runs the shipping at Calais. That's what private enterprise does.
But I sit on the Public Accounts Committee as well, and we've heard from HMRC and others, we were going to have to go, regardless of Brexit, to smarter borders. Absolutely true. But the truth is we're not ready for that. We haven't got the technology at the moment that can allow the sort of streamline transport of journeying back and forth that we can have in a few years. That's why the transition period is so important. And what I find a bit weird is when I hear some of the people who advocate a no deal talking about a managed no deal. I mean, some of them, I think Nadine Dorries and a couple of others have said, no, actually we want to manage no deal, a transition period whilst we can sort out the no deal.
Well, he's not talking about that.
I know he's not.
He's just talking about a no deal.
This is the confusion around the no deal
argument. Let me ask you this. If we leave just on the world trade terms, the goods that we produce, the farm produce we produce, that we export to the EU, they would face tariffs. At the moment, there are none. That will hit our business and farms.
But the European market is shrinking as a share of the global economy.
But it's still 500 million.
And it's going to carry on shrinking.
Well, hold on. It may be shrinking. It's not shrinking that. So let's just take sheep farmers. France takes 50% of British lamb exports. There are no tariffs. We leave on WTO terms. They face 40% tariffs on most cuts. End of British sheep farming.
I'm sure we'll find a way.
But they can't give
What would that way be for our viewers watching tonight?
I'm not familiar with the workings of the sheep market, I'm afraid.
But Andrew, can I just...
My point on this is, you said, I'm sure we'll find a way. That what you're doing is you're playing fast and loose with people's livelihoods. And that is what is the problem with this. And not only that, politically, you could usher in a Corbyn government because the shock to the system is so great no government, responsible government, should impose these problems on the citizens, that people vote for a Corbyn government which you don't want.
Are you saying he's a secret Corbynista?
I'm saying
I'm just
the
saying that
surest
he will
way,
not get what he wants.
The surest way of getting a Corbyn government right now, speaking from the perspective of your party and my party, come to mention it, is if you fail to deliver the promise that you made to the people who voted in the referendum. You promised to deliver on their vote, and you are not doing so. Anything less than no deal is a failure to deliver on that promise.
Look, okay, our manifesto promised that we would have an orderly exit from the EU and we will give clarity and certainty to business. Your no deal scenario is not orderly, it gives no clarity, and it gives no certainty.
But Sam, we might have had a better chance of getting a better deal, a deal that could command a majority in the House of Commons, if the moment this process of negotiation had started, the government had created a no-deal committee, done all the planning, put money behind it, seemed to be serious about it. It might have had no intention of leaving on no deal, but it would have made the Europeans take us much more seriously, because they would have thought, well, they're ready to fall back on no deal. Your government has made sure the Europeans we're no way ready to do that.
Or, Andrew,
I think,
Theresa May could have taken a different approach. Instead of relying on the hardline Brexiters and the DUP, she could have actually reached out across Parliament to actually get a reasonable deal through. And that is why she is reaching out now, because she realises she can't just rely on those votes.
Andrew, you made a brilliant point earlier on, and I liked it.
Well done, Andrew.
That's the first time in 16 years.
Which was, why do you tumble out onto WTO and then, in a weaker position, try to negotiate?
It may have been brilliant, but I tried it twice and I didn't get an answer.
You didn't get an answer?
No.
If we leave on WTO rules, would we then still unilaterally have zero tariffs and everything coming in from the EU the way it is now?
I'm not sure. I just know.
No, I don't think you can you? They can't give you preferential
because
tariffs to the UK.
We're gonna take a hit.
So we would have to put tariffs on
things. It's a hit worth taking.
Did you say that to people during the referendum, that we're going to take a hit, and it's a hit worth taking?
I think everyone out there right now in the country who voted leave is not thinking, you know, what we really voted for was kind of half in, half out.
That's not what I'm asking. Did you tell people that their jobs could be on the line? Did you tell people during the campaign that they could take a hit?
Brochure.
No, but you're saying that you're going to take a hit as though we all take a hit. Did you tell people that?
I'm saying that you can't leave the European Union without consequences. Inevitably, like in a divorce, there's going to be
question. As far as I understand, if we leave without a deal and then we're on WTO rules, then we cannot be given preferential treatment in terms of any tariffs. Because that's against the way that organisation works. So therefore, when you say take a hit,
we trade on the same terms that America trades with the EU on, or
this
with
WTO
China.
thing is a red herring, right? We are 80% services economy, right? We're 20% goods. WTO covers goods. It doesn't cover services.
Right, mind you, the single market doesn't cover services
But
that much.
We need to address.
But let me ask, just get this clear. If we did leave on WTO rules, we would have to put tariffs on things coming in from Europe. Because if we didn't, if we continued tariff-free, we would then have to be tariff-free to the whole world. Under your WTO rules, you can't pick and choose. If there's no tariff in what you're giving me or exporting, there'll be no tariffs in what he's doing. So, and if you did that, why would anybody do a free trade deal?
That's the base position. That's the starting position. Then you negotiate from there.
But
I mean, President Trump has already said that he's happy to give us a fantastic deal.
No, let me just clarify this. If because I've given the Europeans a no tariff access to the British market, under your WTO rules, I have to give the Americans tariff-free access as well. Why would they need to do a free trade deal? They've got the free trade.
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Well, that's honest. And on that, we'll move on. Thank you.